Probably the biggest and most talked about issue facing the Roblox community today is the problem of online daters. They've sort of become the poster children of what a rule breaker is, and for good reason. Not only is it sort of pointless and desperate to be in shallow online relationships with total strangers, there's the risk of actual adults, child predators, on the other side of the screen. Now, let's not take this entire video to talk about how wrong it is. Let's talk about how the issue is being addressed, or isn't. Now, it's good that a majority of the community knows that ODing is bad, but these days there's probably a bigger amount of complainers than there are actual daters. And I can bet you that there's more instances of simple bullying and harassment than there's actually dating going on. Plenty of people like to complain that Roblox isn't doing enough to target these online daters, considering how bad they're made to be, and are. You can call it as the moderators being poor at their jobs, or whine about the report system not working. Now, keep in mind that the amount of reports coming in every day outnumbers the dozen or so staff members by the hundreds of thousands. The staff is always fighting a losing battle. But the one claim that I see, and this is coming from several big YouTubers who talk about this online dating issue, they claim, without evidence, that the reason that Roblox lets these online daters go is because they make money off of them buying membership and clothes. If they ban them, that means lost revenue. No. Completely, absolutely no. Do you want to argue that Roblox lets potential child predators run around free and unmoderated on this site so that they can make a couple more bucks off of their account? Do the people that spread this claim even realize that this site would be stoned to death if proof that Roblox intentionally disregards child safety became known to the media? Oh, but Roblox is greedy. Shut up! There are gaps in the reporting system, yes, but not grants of immunity to people that pay for cosmetic features. It is never the case. Roblox should rather ban them and delete them so they can come back and start buying things again. If there's one thing that I have to say, it's that Roblox needs to be tougher on repeat offenders. Just like every other rule breaker on this site, a bully, a scammer, or an online dater, more often than not they can come back after being deleted and try again on a different account. And I feel that cycle is what shakes the faith in many users and trust in the reporting system. And it is absolutely hard to tell if the reports that we're setting in game go through. You can't see when a user is temporarily banned on their profile, only when they're deleted. A lot of people also forget that the amount of reports coming in means that what they send isn't seen until maybe 8 or 12 hours later. I mean, kids think it's instantaneous, but no. How can we guess how the report system actually works? We don't really know for sure. There's only one article written on the blog by the community manager that tries to give an explanation. And it's from 2012, so keep in mind things might have changed. There's this phrase here that says, that might be an exaggeration, but claims that millions of things are sent to approve or pass moderation on a day, so there's that. They also had a system where if somebody swore, that'd be an instant report sent from the game. Hashtags take care of that problem now. But there was one sentence that says it's best to report any rule breaking in game as it's happening. Now this is a key phrase, and this is sort of saying that as soon as a bad message is sent in any form, you should send a report of that user. Why they stress this, I'll try to explain my theory. I think the in-game reports can only send a window, like a box of either the most recent chats in a certain time frame or like a certain amount of messages sent. That's because, realistically, it's impossible for a moderator to look through an entire chat log of a server. That would mean hours and hours worth of text being sent, even if, like, the username is highlighted or something. So, instead of looking for a needle in a haystack, they possibly only get a piece of a chat log to look through to find a rule-breaking message. Because, in order to keep pace, they need only the fraction that matters, the thing that you're actually trying to report. They might only get the most recent chunk. So that's why it might be important to send that report as soon as possible, as it's happening. Roblox doesn't tell us how the reporting system works, because then the community would know how to go around it. If we knew that only the most 20 or 30 recent chat messages went through, there would be users like spamming the letter A over and over and over into the chat so that their bad message overflows and they get off scot-free. Basically, the only thing we can trust is reporting early and often, as long as we think we're right. One thing that I have to say is that sometimes people won't report at all, they just keep assuming it does nothing. And other times they'll fall into the bystander effect and think somebody else will report that guy. And The worst outcome that I see is that you have users who would rather insult online daters than take action against them. What I see too often is an argument between a rule breaker and a good user who just becomes a rule breaker. Like, if somebody wastes their time trying to tell an online dater off, like calling them names, telling them they're ugly and unloved, and they get reported, and they get banned, then they're just wasting their time. The rule is to speak softly and carry a big stick. And just like with the report window theory, just stop wasting your time and just send that report in and move on. I mean, there's no medal for harassing people correctly. Part of this happens with online data police groups that are filled with, yes, users trying to do the right thing, but so often they get caught up in acting high and mighty to rule breakers. I am an officer, shut up! Do your job and do it undercover or something. Members of these groups will go into games that they think are online data hangouts, and I think the prime example that I see today is, with some disclaimer, Alex Neutron's Meep City. Now, people call us an online data haven, and before I go on, I have to say that all the information I'm going to supply here is completely neutral. I'm not taking sides. I don't believe this game is inherently bad. But there's a distinction to make between the safer and the more dangerous social hangouts out there, and I think it's important that the community first understands the categories. There has always been a major game on Roblox that people say is the source of the online data problem. 2009, 2010 it was the Iron Cafe. Then a bit later it was Club Christie, Club Boats, and countless others I don't really remember. But the admins would take these games down in the past. Not just because of their bad reputation, but because they had the environments that encouraged these things. I mean, the beds, the bathrooms, the places to dance sometimes. These games would be problematic because the only thing you could do is meet up and be wild. And so I ask you, is there something that sets Meep City apart from all these old nightclubs? And the answer to that is the difference between role-playing and online dating. And I know it's something that most people still don't understand. Role-playing today is mostly defined by having families, a brother or sister, a mom and dad, and you might be quick to judge that this is ODing, but in reality it's temporary and not really inappropriate. This is like kids playing house in the sandbox in the backyard. When someone is role-playing, they never say, let's make a kid. It's, let's adopt one. They morph themselves into kids and teens and pets because they're playing pretend. It's imaginative. It's harmless. And it's something you grew out of because you're a teenager now, and you assume everybody is breaking the law and being strange except you. Online dating is asking for boyfriends and girlfriends. It's asking to have a wedding. It's two people trying to find a bed together. It's following each other into games and saying to others, I'm taken. This is more than pretending to have a family. It's for real. And if it leads to inappropriate behavior, and others would be witnessing it, of course it has to go. This is the type of stuff that deserves to be hunted down. Like online data games, the list goes on of other social and family life games in the past. They've been less targeted by moderation even though the community says that they're troublesome. Robloxity, The Complex, Roblox High School, these games aren't wrong. The players might be at sometimes, but the games are on the lighter side of the spectrum. And this is the principle that allows Meep City to still exist today. I think it's also part of the fact that Alex Neutron is an official developer and a past intern, and he's being allowed to tweak the problem areas a bit. But I'm saying mainly, his game is RP-centric, and that doesn't outright encourage the bad things. I played Meep City for the first time in order to produce this video. Really quick, I'll say that yes, right off the bat, I did see the things that everybody does in role-playing, family adoptions and stuff like that. My first thought was that this is exactly like what I saw when I played Club Penguin years ago. One player leading around the other as their kid, the daycare sort of stuff that I expected. And I can see what people say, that this is a Club Penguin clone with similar pets and places, and it kinda is. This is really the first MMO within an MMO that I've ever seen. It surprised me how much there is to do, playing mini games and decorating. This game is so ambitious and there's so many ways for younger players to let their imaginations run wild. Here's something. When I wandered into the Meep City Hospital out of random, I hadn't spoken a word to anybody in the server. And then two doctors came up to me and asked me why I was there. And naturally, I fell into it. I was going along with them. I was role-playing. It shocked me how seamlessly the environment of this game let me and the other players slot into these jobs. I didn't even expect to be told to get on an x-ray machine and have it pretend to function. I just respect the variety and the amount of ways people can interact, safely too. Because in the half hour I was wandering around, trying to find a shred of proof that this environment suggested that dating is okay, I came up empty. There's nothing really wrong about the core mechanics of this game. But then I went to the parties. And that's where things sort of fell apart. This is where I encountered what I feared. It was like there was a completely different audience for this portion of the game, and it was a big audience. And it was swept up in this atmosphere, this social pressure to be picking up people and trying to act mature. I saw blatant online dating attempts unfolding with me just standing there. And I tried to do what I thought was right, say nothing, and submit a report when I thought it needed one. But it carried on. It was the norm. It was met with some arguing back and forth, but it was so consistent. At the end of the day, I will admit, there is a legitimate problem in Meep City. But the problem is not Meep City. Part of it is the house designing feature that lets players build these clubs that reminded me so much of the old ones, that just resonate this stupid desire in some kids to act out and be adults over matters they don't fully understand yet. And it isn't the complete fault of the game creator, it's the community that occupies it and adds to it, and it leaks out into the rest of the player base, and it only sounds like the admins don't care in the end. There is such an endless cycle to this all. What can we on the outside do besides keep reporting and hoping that the punishment these daters receive sticks to them? And yet, there's the freedom to make these parties. The fault of players acting the way they are and teaching other players that dating might be okay. Of parents not watching their kids behave online. And of society itself, pressuring us to believe that there is a need to be in a relationship, a myth that is being picked up by children. So what can Roblox do? We, as a community, are under an ultimatum. If this problem keeps getting worse, if we keep believing that reporting does nothing, if we let rule breakers keep running the show, Roblox will have to step in dramatically. They could take away our privilege to chat freely, and you think, don't they already do that already with the hashtag chat filter? No. They could go as extreme as Club Penguin's chat system towards the end of its lifespan. How you had only a certain set of auto-completing words in a bank to build sentences, and you had some freedom with that, but nothing in comparison to Roblox right now. If the admins get desperate to protect this community, they have to safeguard against every bypass, every questionable word and acronym in the dictionary. If we can't police ourselves, this is what we could face. So basically, what I hope you take away is some insight on the reporting system, and distinguishing between what we should worry about and what we shouldn't. But the most important thing is that we can't fix this site overnight, and it certainly won't be by deleting one game. And that's just about this for this lengthy discussion video, and please give your feedback in the comments. But for now, thank you for taking the time to watch, and I hope to see you again soon.